It was a bright and sunny morning, the kind that made everything outside sparkle. Benny, a sleek black cat with bright green eyes, stretched lazily on the windowsill of the Brown family's home. Mr. Brown, his owner, was bustling around the house, getting ready for work. Benny watched him with mild interest, his tail flicking as he observed every move. Mr. Brown grabbed his briefcase and turned to Benny with a smile. "Be good today, Benny," he said, patting the cat's head. Moments later, the front door clicked shut and the house fell silent. Curiosity stirred within Benny. The neighborhood was alive with sounds chirping birds, distant laughter, and the occasional hum of passing cars. He leapt gracefully from the windowsill and padded toward the door. Through the small cat flap, he slipped outside into the vibrant world beyond. The morning air smelled of freshly cut grass and blooming flowers. Then he sauntered along the sidewalk, his ears swiveling to catch every sound. Just as he reached the corner of Maple Street, he heard a voice. "Excuse me, where is the bus stop?" A woman asked, her tone polite yet urgent. Benny's ears perked up. He crouched behind a bush, his green eyes locked on the scene. A man in a blue jacket pointed down the road and replied, "It's right over there, by the corner." The words hung in the air, and Benny felt a spark of interest. "Excuse me? Bus stop? Right over there?" The phrases swirled in his mind. The woman smiled and nodded. "Thank you." "You're welcome," the man said before continuing on his way. Benny decided this was fascinating. He wasn't just listening to words, he was starting to understand them. "Excuse me? Thank you." "You're welcome." The cat's whiskers twitched with excitement. As the pair disappeared from sight, Benny turned his attention to the next street. His curiosity wasn't satisfied yet. The neighborhood was full of people and conversations, and Benny was determined to hear more. He trotted forward, his tail held high, eager to uncover what other secrets the day might reveal. Benny's paws patted softly against the warm pavement as he ventured further into the neighborhood. The morning sun was climbing higher, casting long shadows of trees and houses across the sidewalks. As he turned a corner, Benny's sharp ears caught a new sound: footsteps, slow and steady, accompanied by the rustle of something heavy. Peeking around a lamppost, Benny spotted an elderly woman struggling with two large shopping bags. Her small frame was bent slightly under their weight, and she paused every few steps to adjust her grip. Benny's tail flicked as he watched the scene unfold. Just then, a young man in a bright yellow hoodie approached from the opposite direction. He slowed as he neared the woman and spoke, his voice kind and clear. "Can you help me?" the woman asked, her tone slightly breathless. The man nodded with a smile. "Sure, I can help you." Then he crouched low, his green eyes darting between the two. The man carefully took one of the bags from the woman and carried it with ease. "Thank you so much," she said, her voice filled with relief. "You're welcome," the man replied, his smile warm and genuine. Together, they continued down the street, chatting softly. Benny tilted his head, replaying the interaction in his mind. "Can you help me?" "Sure, I can help you. Thank you so much." "You're welcome." The words were simple but seemed to carry a lot of meaning. He could tell that these phrases were important, a way for humans to connect and assist each other. After the pair disappeared around the corner, Benny decided to test his own memory. He sat down on the sidewalk and silently mouthed the words. "Can you help me?" "Sure, I can help you." His whiskers twitched with amusement at his own attempt to mimic human speech. Before long, Benny's ears twitched again. This time, he heard the distant chime of a bell. His nose caught the faint aroma of something delicious. Intrigued, he stood up and followed the scent, which seemed to grow stronger with each step. The smells of fresh bread and warm pastries wafted through the air, leading Benny toward a small bakery on the next block. The shop's door was propped open, and laughter spilled out along with the scent of baked goods. Benny's curiosity grew stronger. What new words might he hear there? His sleek black tail swished as he approached the bakery, his green eyes wide with anticipation. Benny crouched just outside the bakery door, his nose twitching as the tantalizing smell of freshly baked bread filled the air. The warm aroma was almost as enticing as the lively chatter coming from inside. Carefully, he slipped past the door and found a cozy spot under a small table near the window, where he could watch unnoticed. The bakery was bustling. Customers stood in line, admiring the rows of pastries, loaves, and cakes displayed behind the glass counter. A cheerful woman behind the counter greeted each person with a smile. "Good morning. What can I get for you?" she asked, her voice warm and inviting. Benny's ears perked up. He focused on the next customer, a man in a gray coat, who approached the counter. "I would like a loaf of bread, please," the man said, pointing to a golden loaf nestled among the others. "Of course," the woman replied, reaching for the bread. She placed it in a paper bag and handed it to him. "That will be $3. The man nodded and handed over the money. "Thank you." "You're welcome. Have a great day," the woman said with a bright smile as the man left the shop. Benny's tail flicked with interest. "I would like loaf of bread. Thank you. You're welcome." These phrases seemed straightforward, yet they made everything flow so smoothly. He was starting to see a pattern in how humans communicated. Politeness was key. Another customer stepped up, a young woman in a green jacket. She leaned slightly over the counter, looking at the pastries. "How much is the blueberry muffin?" she asked. "It's $2, the woman behind the counter replied. "Great, I'll take one, please," said the customer. The interaction played out just as smoothly as the first. The young woman paid for her muffin, thanked the cashier, and left with a cheerful, "Have a nice day." Benny silently practiced the words, "How much is it? I'll take one, please. Thank you." He repeated them in his mind, marveling at how humans seem to have phrases for every situation. As the shop quieted down, Benny noticed a small piece of bread had fallen near his hiding spot. He pounced on the crumb, munching happily while replaying the conversations he'd just overheard. The bell above the door jingled as another customer walked in, but Benny decided he had heard enough for now. Slipping out unnoticed, he trotted down the sidewalk, feeling a little more connected to the human world with every step. The streets outside were lively as ever, and Benny wondered what other intriguing phrases he might discover next. His nose twitched as he caught a faint whiff of freshly cut grass. In the distance, he heard the laughter of children playing. Curious as always, Benny decided to follow the sound and see where it would lead him. Benny padded along the sidewalk, his sleek black fur shimmering under the midday sun. The laughter of children grew louder as he approached the local park. Towering oak trees swayed gently in the breeze, their shadows dancing on the ground. The air was alive with the sounds of joy shouts, giggles, and the occasional bark of a dog. At the entrance to the park, Benny paused, his green eyes scanning the scene. A group of children was gathered near the swings, chatting and laughing. Intrigued, he trotted closer, settling himself under a nearby bench where he could listen undisturbed. "Hey, what's your name?" A little boy with a baseball cap called out, waving to a girl standing by the slide. The girl hesitated for a moment, then replied shyly, "My name is Lucy. Nice to meet you, Lucy," the boy said, grinning widely. Benny's ears twitched. "What's your name?" "My name is—" "Nice to meet you." He silently practiced the phrases, mouthing the words as he observed the children. They seemed to use these simple sentences to start conversations and make friends. Lucy smiled and pointed to the swing set. "Do you want to play on the swings?" "Sure," the boy replied, running toward the swings with Lucy close behind. The group's laughter and chatter filled the air, and Benny's tail flicked thoughtfully. These words were not only useful, they were friendly, welcoming, and helped build connections. As Benny watched, another child joined the group, a girl with curly hair and a bright yellow dress. She looked at Lucy and asked, "Can I play with you?" "Of course," Lucy replied. Benny tilted his head, committing the new phrase to memory. "Can I play with you?" "Of course." These simple words seemed to carry so much meaning. He could sense how the children used them to invite and include others, making the park a lively, cheerful place. Just then, Benny's stomach let out a soft rumble. His morning adventures had worked out quite an appetite. He glanced toward the picnic area where a family was enjoying sandwiches and snacks. Maybe he could investigate and pick up a new phrase or two along the way. As the children's laughter faded into the background, Benny stretched and started toward the picnic tables. He wasn't just a curious cat anymore. He was becoming a silent observer of human interaction, learning their ways one phrase at a time. The scent of food grew stronger, pulling Benny closer. He licked his lips and wondered what new adventures and words awaited him. The sky began to change as Benny made his way past the picnic tables. The once bright sun was now hidden behind thick, gray clouds that loomed over the neighborhood. A cool breeze swept through the streets, rustling the leaves. Benny paused, his ears twitching at the distant sound of thunder. Within moments, raindrops began to fall, first lightly and then with increasing intensity. Benny darted toward the nearest shelter, a small wooden bench next to a bus stop. Shaking off the droplets from his fur, he settled underneath, watching as people hurried past with umbrellas and coats. The rain seemed to bring everyone to a halt. A man in a dark raincoat stood by the bus stop, glancing at the timetable. Beside him, a woman adjusted her umbrella, shielding herself from the downpour. Benny's sharp ears caught their conversation. "It's raining a lot today," the man said, looking at the sky. "Yes," the woman replied with a sigh. "I hope it stops soon." Benny tilted his head, repeating the words silently. "It's raining a lot. I hope it stops soon." These phrases seemed perfect for small talk, simple, yet useful for connecting with others. The man smiled and added, "At least I remembered my umbrella this time." He gave his black umbrella a small shake, sending droplets flying. The woman chuckled softly. "Lucky you." "I forgot mine." Benny's whiskers twitched in amusement. Humans often seem to chat about the weather, finding common ground in rain or sunshine. He practiced the phrases silently, imagining himself in their shoes or paws, as it were. As the rain continued, a bus approached with a loud hiss of brakes. The man and woman boarded quickly, their umbrellas dripping water onto the pavement. Benny watched as the bus disappeared down the street, leaving behind a quiet calm broken only by the sound of rain hitting the ground. The storm began to ease, and Benny stepped out from his hiding spot, shaking off the last few droplets. The air smelled fresh and clean, and the streets glistened under the fading rain. Looking around, Benny noticed a small group of children returning to the park, now splashing through puddles with bright rubber boots. He decided to follow them, curious to see what other interesting phrases he might hear. His tail swished as he padded along the damp sidewalk, ready for whatever came next. As the rain clouds began to clear, the sun peeked through, casting a warm golden glow over the neighborhood. Benny followed the children a little farther before deciding it was time to return home. His paws tapped lightly on the wet pavement as he retraced his steps, his mind buzzing with all the new phrases he had learned that day. When Benny finally arrived at the Brown house, he slipped through the cat flap and into the cozy living room. The familiar scent of Mr. Brown's chair and the faint hum of the refrigerator greeted him. Benny stretched out on the soft rug, his green eyes half closed as he reflected on his day. He silently practiced the phrases again, one by one. "Excuse me, where is the bus stop? Can you help me?" "Sure, I can help you." "I would like a loaf of bread, please." The words rolled through his mind like a melody. Benny imagined himself at the park, introducing himself to the children. "What's your name?" "My name is Benny. Nice to meet you." His whiskers twitched as he pictured their reactions. How surprised they'd be to meet a cat who could understand their language. He thought about the bus stop and the rainy encounter. It's raining a lot today. I hope it stops soon. Benny chuckled softly to himself, knowing humans love to talk about the weather. It was such a simple way to connect. As the front door clicked open, Benny's ears perked up. Mr. Brown stepped inside, shaking off his umbrella and kicking off his shoes. "Hey, Benny," he called, setting his briefcase down. Benny pouted over, rubbing against Mr. Brown's leg. Though he couldn't speak, Benny felt a small sense of pride in all that he had observed and learned throughout the day. Settling back into his favorite spot on the windowsill, Benny gazed out at the now clear sky. The world was full of words, phrases, and meanings, and Benny was determined to uncover more of them. Tomorrow would bring new adventures, new people, and new opportunities to learn. For now, though, the little black cat allowed his eyes to close, the warmth of home wrapping around him like a soft blanket. With every purr, Benny silently practiced the phrases one last time, ready for the day he might use them or at least understand them better.